Okay, so I've already gotten some stuff done. I've cooked my bacon. I've chopped most of it. I have one medium onion, and this was 6 really small garlic cloves, but I'd say it's about 2 tablespoons. So just kind of like eyeball it or measure if you have the pre-minced garlic. And then I have my potatoes washed and just sitting over here. This is about 1.5 pounds. You can do like 1 pound if you want it less potato-y, 2 pounds if you want it more, or just like measure it based on how many people you want to serve or how many portions you want. 1 potato per portion. So a little chef secret, if you want to say that, if you can cook the bacon. I mean, you probably already know this if you cook a lot at home, but anytime you're making like a stew or soup or like homemade gravy or whatever meat you want to cook it in your pot first, because all this brown deliciousness is just like super duper flavor for whatever else you're cooking. That's like, this is the golden ticket to Flavor Town. Okay, so I left about 1 tablespoon of the bacon grease in there. My son's over there helping me out. Added in 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm gonna put in my onions first and get them really, really soft. And while I'm cooking my onions, I'm gonna use my wooden spatula to scrape all the brown stuff off the bottom so it can like mix in with everything else and just be scrumptious. Okay. It obviously is going to make your onions brown, but that's okay. It is all flavor. All flavor. So we're going to cook these until they're starting to get clear, and then we're going to add in the garlic after that, once they're a little bit more cooked. Put a 1/4 cup of flour and mix that all in. Cook out the flour taste. Should take like 1 or 2 minutes. You can really smell when you've cooked it out. Like, you can tell. It just doesn't taste, or it doesn't smell as like floury anymore. So now we're gonna add in 5 cups of chicken broth or whatever broth you want. You can just whatever you have. If you only have 1 box, it's only 4 cups, so you can just add a cup of water in with this. Give the bottom one last scrape. And I'm going to bring this up to a boil before I put the potatoes in. Got the potatoes in there. I'm going to bring it back up to a boil. It won't take too long. I also forgot to mention I added in a 1/4 teaspoon of ground thyme and smoked paprika. I put that in there right before I put the potatoes in and then stirred everything together. You can also use dried thyme if you want. I just only have ground. And then I'm also going to put in salt and pepper to taste, and then in the end I will taste it. I might add some more smoked paprika, but you definitely don't want to over season in the beginning. Just wait until the end, give it a taste test, and then add more if you need it. Gonna cover, let it go until the potatoes are soft, basically about 15 or 20 minutes. I'll check at like 12 to 15 minutes how they're doing. I cut my potatoes pretty small, so they're not going to take as long. But if you do like big inch chunks, like a 1-inch chunk, it'll take longer. So it just depends on how small you cut your potatoes, how long they will take. Okay, so I'm going to use a mixture of Gruyere cheese and extra sharp cheddar, but that's just because I have this in the fridge and I want to use it up. It's not even that much, really. But yeah, if you just do this with normal cheddar cheese, it'll come out like perfectly fine. I just want to use this up. So I'm just going to do it in my food processor with the little shredder plate on there because it is so much faster and easier. So after I shred up the cheese, I am just going to add 16 ounces of frozen corn, all of the bacon bits, which was 6 or 7 strips of bacon, the 8 ounces of heavy cream, and 2 cups of the shredded cheese. And I'm just going to stir it all up, mix it all together, bring the corn up to heat and everything, and then you are good to go. You know what? I dumped in all that bacon and I didn't save any for the top. Rookie mistake. Saved cheese and bacon bits to put on the top. What the heck was I thinking? Okay, so for this next recipe, we're going to be making a potato and bacon frittata. Now, you might kind of be wondering why a frittata, but I personally feel like this holds its texture a lot better than scrambled eggs, where I feel like if you prep a lot of scrambled eggs and then you microwave them, they get kind of dry and hard and rubbery. But the frittata will stay really nice and fluffy. So I have 6 strips of bacon. I already cooked it in my cast iron skillet and I chopped it up into bacon bits, and then I'm going to be using O'Brien style hash browns. These are the perfect size. They have little peppers in them. You find them in the frozen section, and this big bag is only about $2. So I put in about 2 cups. I've made this a million times, so I'm not measuring in this video, but put in 2 cups of those frozen potatoes, the hash browns. And then I kind of fry those up with the bacon with salt and pepper and just let that kind of cook up in the cast iron skillet. And while that is kind of browning up and cooking, I'm going to be scrambling some eggs. So I do 6 eggs in a bowl with a little bit of milk, salt and pepper, and garlic powder. You can make your eggs any way you want. That's just how I always make mine. I'm going to whisk those together, and then once the potatoes are all cooked, I'm going to pour the eggs over top. You're not really going to mix it. I'm just going to kind of pat things around and make sure that the eggs are covering everything and that the bacon and potatoes are evenly distributed throughout the entire situation. Then once you pour the eggs in, you're just going to cover your cast iron skillet. I don't have like a cast iron skillet lid, so I just use this other pan lid that I have that covers the whole thing. And you're just gonna let this cook on like a medium heat until there is no wiggle around the edges. It's kind of hard to explain, so I tried to show you, but as you can see, like the middle is still kind of liquidy, but the edges are all cooked and nice and fluffy. So once it's at this point where the edges are cooked and the middle is not, it's still wiggly, you're going to put the broiler on in your oven. That's why I'm making this in a cast iron skillet. You want to make this in a oven safe pan. I'm going to put the broil on low and then stick the pan in the oven, and it's going to cook it the rest of the way. This only takes about 2 minutes, so keep your eye on it. Once the top starts to turn a little bit kind of golden brown, that is when it's going to be done, and you take it out, and it is so delicious. You kind of just cut it like a pizza. You can do 6 triangles or 8 triangles, just depending on how big of servings you want. And like I said, this just microwaves so nicely and it's really easy. It kind of seems complicated, but it's way easier than you think, and it is so delicious. So for this next recipe, it is a crock pot recipe that I love. I make this at least once a month, if not more. It makes so much food and it's so good. It's like a zesty cheese and ranch crock pot chili. So I'm cutting up 1 whole white onion, like medium to large, 1 red bell pepper, and 6 cloves of garlic. You don't have to do that much garlic if you don't want to, and you can do any color of bell pepper that you prefer. First stuff into the crock pot, 2 pounds of chicken. I have made this recipe with less chicken. I just prefer it with more. So like you can really just put like 1 pound of chicken and it'll still be really good. But I just prefer it more chickeny, so I put 2 pounds. 2.5 teaspoons of ground cumin. If you do less chicken, I would recommend less seasoning. You don't want to overpower it because like the beans and stuff will really soak. Just kind of eyeball it. I basically just do enough seasoning to like coat the chicken really well, like on both sides. So 2.5 of chili powder. This is a chili after all. Then I'm going to put all of this in, the onion, the bell pepper, the garlic. Just spread that over the top. So I like to drain all the beans first, and then I'm just going to dump them all in at the same time into the strainer and then into the pot. I'm doing 16-ounce cans of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. They're the same thing. Kidney beans, black beans. I'll usually do a can of corn, but I only have frozen right now, so I'll just measure it with a can or put about what I think 16 ounces would look like. And then a 16-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I also just want to add in here that this is a really easy recipe to make vegetarian. If you just take out the chicken and double the amount of beans and use a vegetable stock instead of a chicken stock like I do, this is an amazing vegetarian chili. So I added in all the beans, the corn, the crushed tomato, a ranch dressing packet, like the powder packet, and 8 ounces of chicken stock. So I am frying up some bacon in the air fryer, and I'm also boiling some potatoes. This is chili after all, so you can have it on potatoes or rice or just by itself. We like to eat it on top of mashed potatoes, and if we have bacon, we'll put bacon bits on it too. So that's why I'm making bacon. So it's been going for about 6 hours, and we are going to take the chicken out and shred it and then add in the cream cheese. Oh yes, we are. Try to like knock off as much of this stuff, like the beans and stuff, as I can. Ooh. Okay, and then I'm just gonna kind of grab it. Oh geez, it's already falling apart just with me grabbing it. So I'm just gonna kind of grab it and like pull it apart with a fork. So yeah, I mean it's really just like, I could probably just shred it up with just the tongs. Look at that. So I just scoop it back up, put it right back in. Let's use a regular block of cream cheese. This is just the H-E-B brand. Just stir and like submerge everything. I like to chunk up the cream cheese because it just melts a little bit faster. So I give it a little stir in, and then I just leave it on low so that everything can just melt and get nice and delicious. Alright, so we got a little bit of mashed potatoes with milk, butter, salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. I just went ahead and cooked up an entire package of bacon and chopped it all up because we're going to use probably just a little bit tonight, you know, sprinkle on top. But then I can just use the rest for eggs or in mashed potatoes for sides on other dinners like tomorrow. That way I only have to worry about cleaning my air fryer once, and I have bacon for a bunch of different things. Really helpful. So let's stir this up and see how we're looking. Ooh, yeah. As you can tell, I mean, this crock pot is like very full. This makes a lot of food. I've made this for parties, you know, any type of big group of people, big families, you know. And I make it just for us. Like right now, I'm just making this really for Nathan and I. It is like the perfect weather. It's cold and rainy, and this will be great tonight. Be amazing for leftovers, for Nathan to take to work to warm him up during the day, for me to have like an easy, quick, like already made lunch. I can just nuke this in the microwave and be good to go. So look at that, and I will show you the finished plate.